Freak this! This is the second time I'm doing this dang intro, and I'm tired of it. My computer keeps trying to kill itself every single time that we record, and I'm tired of it. But we're going to talk about basketball right now, because that's the big thing. So let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Another dumb Minnesota Timberwolves fan has made our stupid list, or what we like to call our HP list. If you know, you know. So they can join us on our HP walk whenever we do that. And this is another dumb protester. This one decided to chain themselves to the basketball net. That is stupid. And we should know we're the kings of stupidity. And here it is. Well, I'm the king of stupidity. I don't know about everyone else here. So, here's the thing. They won that game. The Minnesota Timberwolves won because the other team is just so shocked that somebody would go onto the field and protest. First, it was painter's glue. Now it's this. And the Timberwolves like, same stuff, different day. While the other team's like, what the heck are they doing? And then they get so weirded out in their head, and then they lose the game. So if the Timberwolves want to win, they just need to keep having these dumb protests. Now, we do not support these protesters, but if they keep on having these dumb protesters, they may win a championship at this rate. Welcome to Frontline Football. This is our draft special, and roll the intro.
Welcome guys, I've been excited the entire year for this video since, well, last mock draft ended. And we are going to get right into it with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm going to hand this one right to Josh to see who they are picking with the first pick.
Time for the division of suckitude, known as the AFC South. Now with this first pick, the Jaguars are probably taking something dumb here because Trent Baalke is still their GM. I'm going to be smart and give them something good. Jacksonville, you deserve something good for being a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. So we're going to give you, with the first pick, Evan Neal. Not Burrow. I am stupid. Joe Burrow. Freak! I said it again! Trevor Lawrence needs his protection. And Evan Neal is the best tackle prospect that we've seen in this draft class. And I'm taking him first overall. Now I'm going to hand this one off to Jackson. I stopped messing up my line.
Now, when it comes to the Jaguars, while I am a big fan of them taking a tackle at one because I still feel it's a big need, for some reason they seem dead set on getting one of these edge rushers. They've brought in Hutchinson and Walker now. And as of right now, I think they're just going to look at the Michigan stuff, and they're going to select Aiden Hutchinson here. They feel he's the best player in this draft, and he can be a good pairing next to Josh Allen. While I disagree with the pick, it just feels like what they want to do, and it's not like edge rusher is a bad pick. Aiden Hutchinson is a very good player. I think he makes a lot of sense here, so I'm going to give them Aiden Hutchinson going off the board at 1. What about you, Zach?
I also have Aiden Hutchinson going off the board at 1. Aiden Hutchinson's a really solid player coming out of Michigan. I believe he had a pretty good sack number this year, and he's going to keep racking up sacks for this defense. Having Josh Allen and him as a good pairing, and they'll just be wreaking havoc every single time they see the field. He had about 14 sacks last season. He can double that amount probably his rookie year. Next team is the Detroit Lions. Jack, what do you think of this one?
So Detroit's in an interesting position, but I think based on our board so far, they've got it down to 2 players. They have Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker, so tackle is just going to not be a thing for them here. So I think they're going to take, this is kind of a hot take, I guess. I'll give them Kayvon Thibodeau here at 2. They seemed really interested in him. They brought him in for an interview. They seemed very happy with him. And edge just kind of makes a lot of sense here. Hutchinson would have been their guy. It made a little more sense, but I think they're going to take, in their eyes, the next best option in Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm going to give them KT here at 2. What about you, Josh?
Well, I am going to go with Aiden Hutchinson because he is still on my board, and I think that the storyline is perfect. He is a very great prospect, and he's Michigan-born, Michigan-bred, and he's going to the Michigan team. So I am saying it. He is going to be landing at the end of the night in Detroit. Oh, no. Better keep him safe.
I have Trayvon Walker going here. Trayvon Walker is this amazing not edge rusher, but he's an amazing run stopper. And in the run happy uh, NFC North, the Lions will need someone like Trayvon Walker to stop the run, and he'll be perfect in that because they're gonna have to deal with Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, and David Montgomery slash maybe whoever else they have at running back. So I have Trayvon Walker going here. That means that I believe Thibodeau goes here, right, Jack?
Yup, he's the highest player left on our board, so he will go here too.
All right. Our next team is the Houston Texans. They are picking in the first round. First year since 2 years ago? Or 27? I don't know. Josh, you know this more.
Yeah, first time since I believe it's 2019.
Yeah. We'll say your take.
Okay, well, with this pick, there's a lot of good players on the board, but I have to go with Kayvon Thibodeau here. What I've seen of him is that the Texans are really trying to pursue him. Pick number 3 if he is there. And he would already love Houston, especially because of our low income tax rate. Or actually, we don't have an income tax. We just have the federal income tax. So that's another reason why he want to come here. I think that he would just be great to bolster up the defense that was a good part, and especially with Lovie Smith as our head coach. I feel like he would be able to use him correctly.
I also have Kayvon Thibodeau going here. Kayvon's a really good prospect. He's very weird in press conferences, and the Houston media is not as hard as the New York media or anybody else. And they still are very, very rude, but it's fine. But he had a pretty good season for Oregon last year in 2021. Racked up 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He didn't really get it, but he was getting a lot of pressures to the quarterback, which those pressures will lead into sacks if the Texans can do this right. What about you, Jack?
For Houston here, because my Thibodeau is already off my board, I'm going to give them the next best edge rusher in their eyes with the highest upside in this case, and Trayvon Walker. I think they have a run-heavy division, including Jonathan Taylor, James Robinson eventually when he gets back. And as of right now, because they like Hutchinson, they like Thibodeau, both those guys are off the board, so they're going to settle for Trayvon Walker, who has massive upside, and they're going to see if they can unlock it here in Houston.
All right. Our next team is the New York Jets. What do you have for them, Jack?
Okay, so in my case, this board fell very unfavorably for the Jets. 3 edge rushers off the board right out of the gate. So here I think they're going to pivot a little bit, probably focus on edge rusher or wide receiver at 10. But here at 4, I'm going to give them Ahmad/Sauce Gardner here. I think he could be potential to be a shutdown corner the Jets haven't had since Revis, and he could truly solidify the secondary as one of the most talented players in the draft. It makes a lot of sense here, and if all the edge rushers go like this, I think it makes the most sense to bring Sauce in to be a New York Jet. What about you, Zach?
I also agree with you. I think Sauce Gardner is a great pick here. I don't like calling him Sauce yet, but because he earns my respect when he has a good year. Ahmad is a really good player. I just need to see him go against actual really good talent, which is the NFL. So yeah. What about you, Josh?
I am taking Sauce Gardner with this pick here. He was amazing, even in the national championship semifinal game against Alabama. He was really good with defending against Jamison Williams, and he finished his career with allowing no touchdowns in his time at Cincinnati. So I think he'd be an amazing player for the Jets here.
All right, our next team is the New York Giants. I'm actually going to take this one, and my pick will be Evan Neal. They've been needing to work on this O-line for a very long time, and Evan Neal is a very good player that can play right tackle, left tackle, if Andrew Thomas wants to move over. He also can play in the inside, which is really helpful, especially for this Giants team that is trying to hopefully get Saquon back and do better with him. So I think Evan Neal is a good pick here. What about you, Jack?
I think I also have to agree with you here. I'm going to go Evan Neal. As the way the board fell here, he's the best tackle arguably available on the board. All of them are still here, so it's just pick your favorite. I think here the Giants are going to pick Evan Neal, pair him up with Andrew Thomas. That's a pretty solid tackle duo as they continue to rebuild their offensive line. They're getting closer, and they look to have both of their tackles of the future once this draft is said and done. What about you, Josh?
Well, with this pick, I am going to be taking Ike Ekwonu because my board fell that Neil went first. So I think that Ekwonu will be going here.
All right. Our next team is the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to hand this one off to Josh.
Well, the Carolina Panthers, I feel like they could go one of two ways here. I believe at this situation, they would really want to get some kind of protector, and I would say that they are going Charles Cross here. Now, of course, Malik Willis is still on the board, but I don't think that they'd be looking for their quarterback of the future wherever they need to make sure to protect him first. So I'm going to go with Charles Cross here. He's not the best in this class. He does a lot of corrections, but I feel like with a little bit of time, he can be a really good tackle for the team. So I'm going to hand this one off to Jack.
I'm going to have to go a different route as I'm going to give them Malik Willis here at 6. I don't think Carolina can confidently roll into the season with Sam Darnold as their starting quarterback / Cam Newton. It's just not going to work, so they're not gonna overthink this. They're going to get their guy here at 6. If they're worried about him getting hit, they can always sit him for a little bit and wait until the O-line improves. Either way, I think you have to get your quarterback here eventually, so it's either Malik Willis or you have to wait till the second. Oh, don't have a second round pick. Never mind. Got to wait till the third round to even have a chance at picking. So I think if they want a quarterback, they're going to have to do it now, and I think they will with Malik Willis. What about you, Zach?
It's the best situation for Carolina this year to pick a quarterback, and I also will be going Malik Willis. He shows a lot of talent, especially it looks like a very young Cam Newton on how he plays. He plays very good football. I believe he has a better arm than Cam Newton did coming in, and I think that he could be really solid if he's trained up by, well, Cam Newton. So I think Malik Willis will learn under Cam Newton and Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold will still be fighting, but I think that they'll believe in Malik Willis too. If Sam Darnold does work out, then they have the QB of the future, and then they trade Willis to a different team. So this is a good situation for Carolina either way. All right, our next team is the New York Giants. Jack.
All right, this one is kind of tough for the Giants, but ultimately they filled the need of O-line. They're not really in range for their second biggest need in linebacker, so I'm going to have to give them their third biggest need here, and I'm going to have them selecting Jermaine Johnson. He's been flying up the boards lately, and I think he could fit really well next to Azeez Ojulari. I think the way this board fell, it just makes sense for the Giants to get JJ here. There's not anybody else really appealing. They already grabbed their tackle, and the best two players on the boards are tackle. It's a little too early for Stingley and Hamilton, so I think they're just going to take best player available in their eyes at their biggest need, and that, as of right now, is going to be an edge rusher. I'm giving them Jermaine Johnson. What about you, Zach?
I keep choosing the same thing as Jack, but I actually do believe Jermaine Johnson, he is the best or one of the best edge rushers in this class. Posted a very good season for Florida State, racking up, how many sacks was it? 12 sacks, which is very impressive. Showing injury problems, he's had consistent years, and he's gotten better every year. I believe that Jermaine Johnson is going to be a really nice piece for the Giants, and he could be like the next Michael Strahan if he is trained up correctly. All right, what do you think, Josh?
I believe that Trayvon Walker, because he fell so much at this pick, would be a steal for the Giants. He has the intangibles. He doesn't have the stats, but he does have the intangibles. I think that is what they're going to be relying on. And so that would be a really good pick for them down the line. This would be just an amazing pick for them.
All right, our next team is the Falcons. Atlanta Falcons. Josh.
I feel like with how the board fell for them, I know I've been saying that a lot, but I think because of Malik Willis dropping to them, I think that the Falcons will not be doing what they've done in previous years, which is take the better player. I think they're going to be taking the quarterback here. Now, of course, they have Marcus Mariota, but I think that Malik Willis, you can't pass up on a running quarterback in Atlanta. Look how Michael Vick turned out. Before the dogfighting incident and stuff. Just look at that. Running quarterbacks in Atlanta go together like a very good combination that I can't think of right now. So I'm gonna say Malik Willis will be coming to the ATL. I'm gonna hand this one off to Zach.
I have Drake London with this pick. Drake London is a really, really solid wide receiver coming out of UCLA. Not UCLA, USC. My bad. Yeah, he posted great stats. I think he was a 1,000-yard receiver, and he's a great jump ball guy. The Falcons also don't have a lot of depth at wide receiver, so getting some depth at wide receiver would be very helpful for them. What about you, Jack?
I also have to go Drake London here. Now, the Falcons, you look at their receiving core, it's really, really bad. There's like pretty much nothing going in there. They need to start somewhere when it comes to this rebuild, and I think the best thing to do right now is to get any receiver in the building, just so Mariota isn't completely doomed. So, the best one in my eyes right here is going to be Drake London.
All right. Our next team is the Seattle Seahawks. I will be taking this one, and I am going Ike Ekwonu. The next quarterback that will be the Seattle Seahawks, it's either Drew Lock or someone else like Baker Mayfield. Need protection because they are not going to be like Russell Wilson again and again and again and again, just getting sacked. So getting some protection before you get your franchise guy in there would be very smart. And Icky is on the board. He is one of the best run blockers, and he can actually really help this defense, especially setting up the run game with Rashad Penny. What about you, Josh?
Well, I'm going to say that they're going to take Jermaine Johnson here. One of their other big needs that they will be looking for this season is edge. And with there being no really big tackle talents on the board, I think that they're going to go with their third biggest need, which is their edge rushers. I think that Jermaine Johnson would be an amazing pickup right here. Jack?
I also have to go Icky here, just on the basis of I don't know how he managed to fall to 9. He's very good, but he's here. Seattle's not going to pass up on this. This is like a franchise-altering tackle here. This guy's going to be dominant for a long time, and if you're Seattle, you just can't deny that right now. Take Icky, start to rebuild your offensive line from here.
All right, now we have the New York Jets. Jack, you want to take this one?
All right, here's where I think I'm finally going to stray away from Zach in this case, and that is I'm going to take George Karlaftis here, edge rusher. It's a little high, and I do see them probably trading this pick if it falls like this, but because there's no trades in this, I'm just going to take the best edge rusher left on the board. Other options include Jameson Williams or Garrett Wilson. Kind of depends, but as of right now, I'm going to prioritize the edge and double down on defense, taking Karlaftis. What about you, Josh?
Well, I'm going to say that they're going to take Drake London here because he fell all the way to this pick with the Falcons choosing Malik Willis, and I think that this would be an amazing pickup for them, and this would probably really help assert them as a new brand of Jets. Jack or Zach?
I have Garrett Wilson going here. Garrett Wilson is a really good wide receiver coming out of Ohio State. Had a great year this year with C.J. Stroud, and he'll have an even better year with Zach Wilson. Now, this adds a new depth to the Jets' offense. Now they have a guy who can get yards after catch, and also he is a very good guy off the line, and he's a great route runner. So this will very much help the New York Jets with this, and it makes their decision kind of easy. All right, the next team is the Washington Commanders. So, yeah, I'll take this one. I am gonna go Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton is the best safety coming out of this class. He is from Notre Dame. He pops you so hard that you will probably fall on your feet. And he's just a great safety that has fell off boards just because, well, his 40 time's not pretty good, and he plays like it. He's also kind of like a Jamal Adams type. He doesn't do well in coverage. He does enough. I think he'll be a better linebacker at a better kind of tackling linebacker that stops the run instead. All right. What about you, Jack?
I also have to go Kyle Hamilton here. I think his slip ends right here, right now. Washington needs a safety, and I think Rivera will make it work. They have a good D-line. Adding a safety here will just continue to stack up that already good defense. What about you, Josh?
Well, I also am going to complete the sweep here and go Hamilton. I think that this is a great pick for Washington, especially with a defensive minded head coach in Ron Rivera, who will be able to train Hamilton how he needs to and mold him into the defender that Hamilton could be in the right system.
All right, our next team is the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm gonna hand this one off to Jack.
I think I have to go. I'll go Derek Stingley here. He's the best player left on this PFF board, at least. The Vikings have a pretty decent need at cornerback, and because there's no edges left, so they're probably just keeping Danielle Hunter in this scenario. They don't really desperately need a tackle. They just invested in Darisaw and O'Neal. So I think as of right now, best player available at position of need is Stingley. I'm going to select him. What about you, Zach?
Also, I'm going to go Stingley. Stingley's a really solid player coming out of LSU. He had a great freshman year. I haven't seen a lot in his sophomore year, junior year, but he has had a very good freshman year, and that's what we're basing this off of. If he stays healthy, Stingley could be a top 10 corner in this league if his talent produces to the next level. What about you, Josh?
I'm also going to go Stingley here. The Vikings really show that they have really good wide receivers, but in the corner area they are really lacking. I think Stingley would bring some new revitalization, especially with that punch that he had at the first 5 yards and how he can just mirror players. That is just something that we haven't seen before, and I think he'll probably be a generational talent if he stays healthy.
All right, our next team is the Houston Texans. Josh?
I'm saying how the board fell. We are going to be taking Garrett Wilson with this pick. With Davis Mills, we are rebuilding around him, and he needs weapons. This is where we're going to start off. We're going to start off great with Garrett Wilson. This guy is an amazing player, and I think he'll just keep on building his legacy in Houston. I'm going to hand this off to Jack.
I'm going to go Charles Cross here. I think Charles Cross is a very good tackle that's getting overlooked because of how defensive heavy this top 15 has been so far. And if the Houston Texans can exit this draft with an edge rusher and Charles Cross sitting here at 13, that's just too much value to pass up on right now. I have to take it. I'm going Charles Cross. What about you, Zach?
I would go Charles Cross, but I am going to go Jamison Williams. Jamison Williams is coming off an ACL tear. I feel like the Texans would take a chance on Jamison Williams and see if that talent can produce with Davis Mills under center. I would go Kenny Pickett or somewhere else, but I don't trust them as much as Jamison Williams. All right, our next team is the Baltimore Ravens. Josh.
I'm going to go for the Baltimore Ravens. Trent McDuffie here. He is a little bit undersized, but I think that he will be a great fit in the Ravens cornerback core this year. Zach?
I'm actually going to go George Karlaftis. He has fell this low, and they need edge presence right now because they have been losing a lot of their edge presence. They lost Matthew Judon a couple of years ago. They lost Justin Houston, I believe. Calais Campbell they got back, but he is very old. And just getting some new, fresh D-linemen would be helpful, especially a great edge rusher in George Karlaftis. What about you, Jack?
I'm going to go probably Jordan Davis here. I think they do need some interior D-line. Their interior D-line is getting incredibly old. I think for now they'll bet on, I think Jason Away developing a little more. While they still need someone next to him, I think Jordan Davis's potential to wreck a game is just too much to pass up on here. I'm going to give them Jordan Davis.
All right, our next team is the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll take this one, and I'm going to give them Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd is a very good linebacker coming out of Utah. He had 100 tackles last season, a lot of picks, and I believe 2 forced fumbles, which is very impressive. This guy can play everywhere on the field, and he is very good. I just want to see a little bit more sacks out of him, and they do blitzes and all that to get to the quarterback. But other than that, Devin Lloyd is a very solid linebacker. It's only he's just getting overshadowed by every other defensive player in this class. What about you, Josh?
I'm also going to be going Devin Lloyd here. I think he's an amazing pickup at this pick. And from what I've seen of him in college, he has just been completely dominant, winning, I believe it's the Dick Butkus Award for 2 years, and just being one of the best players at Utah. So give me Devin Lloyd here. Jack?
I think I'm going to go Jamison Williams here for the Eagles. They have Devontae Smith as their number one receiver. They need someone next to him. I think they're going to bet on Jamison Williams getting healthy and becoming dominant and creating one of the better wide receivers duos in the league right now. Give me Jamison Williams to the Eagles.
All right. Our next team is the New Orleans Saints. I will hand this one off to Jack.
I think here, I'm going to go, I don't think it's necessarily a hot take, but I'll go Kenny Pickett here. I think the Saints clearly added that extra draft capital to make some sort of trade up to select a quarterback of their choice, but because there's no trades in this draft, they're just going to have to settle for who's here at 16. And as of right now, Kenny Pickett was the best guy left on my board, so they're going to take their quarterback, potentially of the future, as they begin the process of coming back, using Jameis as a transitional, and then eventually developing Pickett into a potentially really good quarterback. What about you, Josh?
I'm going to say that Jamison Williams gets selected here because he has fallen all the way from the 9th best player to pick 16, and I think that this is perfect value for the Saints, and I think that they will take the gamble that Kenny Pickett will still be there with their next pick. Zach?
Like Charles Cross here. Charles Cross has fell out of the top 15, which is a very surprising thing for my mock drafts usually. And if he is there for the New Orleans Saints, they need to pick him up because this guy is a very good, and he would be a great replacement for Teron Armstead. And yeah, this guy would just be lights out. All right, our next team is the Chargers. I'm going to hand this one off to Josh.
Okay, with the Chargers, I will have them select Jordan Davis. I think that he is probably one of the best defensive interiors that we have seen, especially being a part of that national championship Georgia defense, which is probably one of the most legendary college defenses that we've ever seen. I think that he will do great and bring LA over the hump this year. Jack?
I think here I'm going to select, let's see who the best tackle left on the board is. That'll be, for me, Trevor Penning. I think they need a right tackle pretty badly. They lost Brian Bulaga. I think right now they have receivers. They've invested in offensive weapons. They've invested in a lot in defense. Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, Sebastian Joseph Day. A lot of key defensive pieces coming over. But having a tackle on the other side of Rashawn Slater is going to be very helpful here. I think they're going to have a great priority in getting a building block around it to protect Herbert from the right side. What about you, Zach?
Also, I'm going to go Trevor Penning. Losing Brian Bulaga, right?
Yep.
Losing Brian Bulaga is a huge loss for them, and replacing him with a younger talent that is very undervalued, like Rashawn Slater was last year, will just make the Chargers even better. Now, Trevor Penning is very raw, but with that, you can actually see a lot of development, and right now this team is in win now mode, and this guy is the best guy available for tackle. Wide receiver and cornerback are a need, but they'll work on that later in the later rounds of the draft. Our next team is the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'll be taking this one. I'm going to give the Philadelphia Eagles Trent McDuffie. They need corner help. The only guy that they have is Darius Slay, and then some other guys, but like Darius Slay can cover the first option. Trent McDuffie is a very good talent. He needs to get trained a little bit, but best mentor is literally Darius Slay, a guy who's been a top 5 corner sometimes in the league. So I think McDuffie falling all the way to 18 would be great for him and great for his development. What about you, Jack?
I think I also have to go McDuffie here. My guy would have been Jordan Davis for them, but unfortunately he was already drafted ahead by the Ravens, so they're just going to have to settle for a cornerback to develop across from Slay. They addressed wide receiver with Jamison Williams, so they don't need to worry about that either. And I think it just makes the most sense from where they are right now. I will give them McDuffie. What about you, Josh?
I'm going to give them Devontae Wyatt because they didn't get Jordan Davis, but they'll get the next best option in Devontae Wyatt. And I think that he will really help bolster up their defense and make them even better with Devin Lloyd.
All right, our next team is the New Orleans Saints. What do you have them taking, Jack?
I have them taking Garrett Wilson here. He fell through the cracks for whatever reason in this draft, and that has to end right now. They have a big need at receiver, another Ohio State guy to put next to Michael Thomas. They're going to just take the best receiver available, and he is a very good one to be there sitting at 19. So Garrett Wilson here to help build around their new quarterback, Kenny Pickett. What about you, Zach?
I'm actually going to go for a different Ohio State guy. I'm going to go Chris Olave. Chris Olave had a great season this year, and being the second option to Garrett Wilson, I believe still had a 1,000-yard year, which is very impressive for that Ohio State group. And he's going to be solid if Michael Thomas is healthy. Alvin Kamara's legal situation is not as bad, and Jameis Winston can actually throw the ball pretty well, which hopefully is expected. All right, Josh.
I'm gonna have to go Kenny Pickett here. Their gamble worked, and Kenny Pickett was there. So I believe that they will be taking Pickett here and stealing him away from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, our next team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, Josh.
Okay, with this pick, I believe that the Steelers will be making a decision on quarterback, and they will be going with Desmond Ridder. He has been shooting up draft boards, and I think that they are going to need a quarterback, especially because Big Ben retired and Dwayne Haskins has unfortunately passed. So they will be taking Ridder, maybe putting him under Mitch Trubisky, but he will be going in this first round. Zach?
I actually have them going Bernard Raymond. Bernard Raymond's going to be a solid tackle, and Steelers need to focus more on their O-line, especially because of Najee Harris being there. And there's going to be better quarterbacks later, and taking a quarterback with your first-round pick is not very smart to do at this time because your O-line is so bad. I think Bernard Raymond is a plug-and-play guy that could instantly give your O-line a boost, which would help a lot. What about you, Jack?
This one was tough, but ultimately I think I'm going to also go with Josh and get them a quarterback, Desmond Ridder here. It just makes the most sense for a QB-needy team that can sit for a little bit. And the way this board fell, it just works for the Steelers. This QB can develop, and they're going to have to finally fix the QB position for the first time since Big Ben.
All right. Our next team is the New England Patriots. Jack, where are you going to do with this pick?
I will be selecting Devin Lloyd with this pick, another player that I was surprised fell through the cracks in this mock draft. And I think it just makes a lot of sense. Patriots have major need at linebacker. They lost every starting linebacker they had this season to free agency, retirement, whatever. And Devin Lloyd is a great start to fixing the linebacker core once again, and it starts to re-solidify Bill Belichick's defense again. What about you, Josh?
I'm going to say they're taking Carl Loftus because he has fallen this much, and he is still a very great talent. His only problem is injury. Zach?
I'm going to go Nakobe Dean here. Nakobe Dean is a very solid linebacker coming out of Georgia. Used to be the best guy on my board, but now has fallen because of how well Devin Lloyd has played. Okay, well, now we're on the Green Bay Packers, and I'm going to hand this one off to Jack.
I'm actually going to give the Packers Chris Olave here. I think the Packers' priority this draft is wide receiver and lineman for Aaron Rodgers. They just paid him a lot of money. They need to get some cheap playmakers and protection around the guy to keep him happy and sane. It's the only shot they have at winning a Super Bowl, as they just traded away their best receiver in Devontae Adams, so they're going to get his replacement in Chris Olave. What about you, Zach?
I'm going to give him Tyler Linderbaum. Their center position was a little bit of a problem last year, especially losing, what was that guy's name? He went to the Chargers. Our starting center went to the Chargers last year. Now getting a replacement like Linderbaum, which is a generational center this year. And I say generational, not even, like, this guy is very good, and he will be a day one starter. So, yeah. What about you, Josh?
I'm going to have to give them also Chris Olave this year. I think that Chris Olave is the replacement that Aaron Rodgers needs to make sure that he stays happy. Okay.
All right. Our next team is the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to be taking this one, and since Jordan Davis has fell this low, I am taking Jordan Davis for the Arizona Cardinals. He's a very good player. He is younger than Devontae Wyatt, and he has a lot more key aspects. J.J. Watt can also train him, which would be very helpful on this D line. I really want to go corner here, but since Jordan Davis is here, I am going to go him. What about you, Jack?
Cards, it's kind of tough, but as of right now, I'm going to give them Khalil Elam, cornerback. When I look at the board, their big needs are edge and corner, and the way that my board fall, no first round edges. The big five edges are gone, so they're just going to take the best cornerback available on their board, and I think Elam would be good on for the Cardinals to bring over to the secondary and start to build it up with Byron Murphy and potentially Marco Wilson if he continues to develop. What about you, Josh?
I'm going to have to give them Andrew Booth Jr. because of the way the board fell. I think corner is their biggest need, and they will be taking Andrew Booth here.
Our next team is the Dallas Cowboys. What do you think of this one, Josh?
So with this one, I believe that they will be bolstering up their center position and taking Tyler Linderbaum. He is probably one of the most undeniable centers in this class. I think he'd be a great asset to the Cowboys in the future. Zach?
I am going to go Andrew Booth. Their corner position was very flawed, especially with Trayvon Diggs being one of the most overrated guys, just getting picks. Andrew Booth can actually be a solid number one and actually lock down corners or wide receivers, not corners. He could be a very good lockdown corner, though. And then Trayvon Diggs can go over the second option and not allow 1,000 yards this season. What about you, Jack?
I'm going to go Zion Johnson here. They lost, I think his name was Connor Williams, maybe. But it was a starting left guard, played very well. He went to the Miami Dolphins. So I think they're just going to try to plug and play with the best guard available in their eyes. So they'll be selecting Zion Johnson to fill that void and help keep Dak healthy.
All right. The next team is the Buffalo Bills. Jack.
Buffalo Bills, there's like a lot going on here for the Bills. But I think I'm ultimately going to decide on Andrew Booth Jr. There's not a lot of needs happening here. I think they've addressed pretty much everything. But it could be beneficial to have another cornerback next to Tre'Davious White, especially Tre'Davious White going down. That was unfortunate. So you might as well start to bring up somebody. That would be a nice duo moving forward, and I think it makes the most sense for them here. What about you, Zach?
I have Devontae Wyatt here. He fell very low on my list. And the thing is, Devontae Wyatt is a very good talent, especially playing alongside with Jordan Davis. And now he gets to play alongside Ed Oliver, Von Miller, and a very good D-line has just been created if this situation has happened. All right, our next team... Oh, Josh, I'm sorry about this. Sorry, Josh.
I'm going to select, based on need here, is they're going to select Khalil Alam. Now, you're probably wondering why Nakobe Dean is falling. This is my fault. I'm trying to get him into a place where we can just plug and play him. But most of these teams do not need linebackers. And I'm trying to find a place for him to go. But Khalil Alam seems like the best, just like Jack and Zach said. They need something in case Davius White goes down. I was about to say Trayvon.
All right. Our next team is the Tennessee Titans. Josh?
Okay, with the Tennessee Titans, I have them taking Zion Johnson. I think that he is a great guard who can help protect their quarterback and Ryan Tannehill and make them just a better team. I'm going to hand this off to Jack for his take.
For the Titans, I have them going Nakobe Dean here. Now, similar to the Patriots, this need at linebacker is like not necessarily a want, but like it's a need. They lost both of their starters. One, I believe, Rashaan Evans is one of them, and then there's one other name that I forgot, but he's a very good starter. Both are gone, so the middle linebacker room was pretty empty, so they're going to try to develop Nakobe Dean here. It makes a lot of sense. Give me Nakobe Dean. What about you, Zach?
I'm going to go Zion Johnson. He played very well for Boston College, and usually Boston College's guards, tackles, and most things from Boston College work out. And just like Josh, they need O line to help Derrick Henry keep running. So I'm going Zion Johnson. The next team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Uh, yeah, I'll give this one to Jack.
Ooh, the Bucks. I'm gonna give them Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M here. They lost what's his face, Ali Marpet and Alex Kappa, one to retirement, one to free agency. They were able to fill the right guard void with Shaq Mason, old friend of Tom Brady, but now you need to put the cherry on top and fill the left guard need here. And as of right now, the most sense is Kenyon Green. Makes a lot of sense. Starting left guard for Tom Brady, and the Bucks aren't going to miss a beat with a completely revamped interior offensive line at the guard positions. What about you, Zach?
I'm gonna also go Kenyon Green. Kenyon Green's a really solid guard, and I forgot about him when I was making my Titans take, but he's right here, and the Bucks will pick him up, and he'll probably be very good. Not like they probably wouldn't start off hot, but he would get better over the season. So yeah. Josh, what about you?
I'm also going to be taking Kenyon Green here. This feels like the cherry on top to make sure that their O line can protect Tom Brady in his 45th year on this earth and 20 something year in this career. So he's going to need an O line, and Kenyon Green will be the cherry on top for that.
All right, the 28th pick, the Green Bay Packers. What will they be selecting? Gosh.
They will be selecting Bernard Raymond because he fell this low, and I think that this would only be probably the smartest thing that they could do right now. I'm going to hand this off to Zach.
I'm actually gonna go for a new player here that I don't go too much, and that's George Pickens. George Pickens is a really good wide receiver coming out of Georgia. Had 1,000 yards, I think 2 years ago, and he was injured this year, which is kind of concerning. But the Packers should take a risk on George Pickens and see how well this goes for them. What about you, Jack?
For the Packers, I pretty much have no choice but to give them Tyler Linderbaum here. They grabbed Olavi at 22 in my scenario, and now it's time to address that O-line. Linderbaum will be their first real center since Corey Linsley left for LA 2 years ago, and I think it will go a long way in protecting Aaron Rodgers.
All right, our next team is the Kansas City Chiefs, and I will be taking this one. Their first selection of this draft will be career alum. This guy is coming out of Florida. He is a very good corner, and he has been locking down. He played second corner last uh, last year because Marco Wilson was number one. Now career alum gets to show off his ability and really be able to lock down corners against Devontae Adams and a bunch of others that are very great. What about you, Josh?
I'm going to have to go for them. It's Sky Moore. I think that another receiver will really help them and just be able to bring them up to where they need to be to compete with the AFC West this year. Jack?
For the Chiefs, I'm going to have to go Treylon Burks here. I think he's a very talented receiver, and while his combine dropped his stock a little bit, I'm not overthinking it here. I still think he's super talented and makes a lot of sense in the Chiefs scheme. He won't replace Tyreek Hill, but he's going to do a good job filling in a solid wide receiver role and potentially a wide receiver one role when it all's said and done.
All right, cool. Our next will be also the Chiefs, and I'm gonna hand this one off to Jack.
Chiefs, I'm going to actually give them. It says he's listed as a cornerback here, but I think he's actually a safety slash nickel hybrid, and that's going to be Daxton Hill out of Michigan. I think it makes a lot of sense. They lost Honey Badger, and while they don't do the same things, I think that having a Daxton Hill could help the Chiefs defense and their versatility as a whole. He's a very good player, and I think he helps out the Chiefs secondary overall. What about you, Josh?
I'm going to have them take Luis Cine here. And I think that this is probably one of the best picks that they could make. Georgia safety looked really good and could play opposite of Justin Reed and really just bolster up that defense. Zach?
I'm gonna go Traylon Burks here. Traylon Burks is really good. His combine didn't really show it, and this guy has a lot of talent and a lot of speed. He won't be able to replace Tyreek Hill like Jack said last take, but I think that Traylon Burks will be very solid, especially if he's at number 30 for the Chiefs. Our next team is the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm gonna hand this one off to Josh.
I'm going to have them take Jalen Pittray this year. It was shown in the Super Bowl that Eli Apple is not their number one corner, and they are going to need to have a new guy in there. Enter Baylor corner Jalen Pittray. He was an amazing person at the combine, very fast, very agile, and I think it fit perfectly in Cincinnati. I'm going to hand this one off to Jack.
For the Bengals, I think I'm going to give them... Okay, there. Javonte Wyatt here. He's somehow on the board. They lost Ogunjobi to originally the Bears, but then the Bears contract thing fell through. It was weird. But I think Javonte Wyatt is best player available for them, and it's at a position of need, one of their few positions of need, and I think he'd bolster an already good Cincinnati defense.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go Luis Kine out of Georgia. He can play nickel corner, which is very good for the Bengals, especially having a cornerback need and there's not a guy on their team that usually can play nickel corner, which is kind of not a big need, but is a need. He also can drop back and be the other safety with Jesse Bates, which is very helpful. I think that having Kine on their team would be very helpful. So yeah. Alright, with the final pick, the number 32 selection, the Detroit Lions will be selecting, and I believe the Detroit Lions will be selecting Matt Corral. He's coming out of Mississippi. Matt Corral fell off boards a lot, and I believe that Matt Corral could be a very good talent sitting under sitting under Jared Goff, and he could become a very good quarterback. The only concerning thing I see with Matt Corral is his stats didn't look the best this season, but he'll take time to develop. What about you, Jack?
I think I'm also going to give them Matt Corral here. I think it makes a lot of sense for Detroit. You didn't have to use that top pick on a quarterback because you didn't love anybody, but if you're a big fan of Matt Corral here at 32, why not take him? It's a late first-round pick, and you can build around him, not to mention Goff can be his mentor for a year or two. It just makes a lot of sense fit-wise, and he can develop. So I think it would be a home run pit if the Lions get a premier edge rusher and a franchise quarterback in this first round. We will see, though. I have them going Matt Corral. What about you, Josh?
I will have them take Nakobe Dean. He fell all the way here, and he will be taken by the Detroit Lions. I feel like Matt Corral will be taken. I feel like he will be picked 34 when he is taken. I think that is an amazing pick because he fell so low. So that is the end of my mock draft.
And that's the end of this video. If you liked our video, hit the like button. If you have any hot takes of your own about, I don't know, Karlaftis going 1 or something like that, put it in the comments below. Subscribe if you like football, and if you want to keep watching us make these entertaining videos. I believe that our next video will be grading the draft or something very different, one of the two. And yeah, Jack, hit the plugs.
As always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at FrontlineFB. Unfortunately, the links are not up there today because I needed to make the mock draft board bigger so you could actually see it. But just know they're in there in spirit, and they're also in the description, which is probably the better place to get them anyway. We'll be back here to grade the draft because it's going to be crazy. As always, we hope you enjoyed. As you can see by this board, whenever we do the Frontline mock draft with 3 people, it gets pretty crazy at some points. But hope you enjoyed. Excited for the draft. We'll be watching. You'll probably be watching. And we'll see you guys back here next week to grade it.
See ya.